ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will survive.
Good evening, everybody. After our scripts for tonight's show were finished this afternoon, we here at The Late Show learned that Charlie Kirk, a prominent right-wing activist, was killed at a speaking engagement in Utah. Our condolences go out to his family and all of his loved ones. I'm old enough to personally remember the political violence of the 1960s. And I hope it is obvious to everyone in America that political violence does not solve any of our political differences. Political violence only leads to more political violence. And I pray with all my heart that this is the aberrant action of a madman and not a sign of things to come.
Stephen Colbert, who will be signing off permanently from a show, a really thoughtful person. I hope he runs for office in South Carolina. I think South Carolina deserves to have better leadership than Tim Scott and Nancy Mace. I think you deserve better. South Carolina, where 1 in 5 African Americans can trace their roots coming in on the hulls of ships. South Carolina, those shores bathed in our blood, sweat, and tears built by us, deserves better.
Yeah.
Drew McCaskill's here.
Yeah. It's it's wild too, because I think that we as states become more and more the state that you live in becomes more and more urgent in our lives in terms of what our rights look like and what our representation looks like. We're going to have to fight local just as hard as we have traditionally fought federal and nationally. We're going to have to figure out how to fund these races differently. We're going to have to figure out how to get more people involved in politics. We may have to look, I have always been a progress over perfection voter, right? I feel like most Black folks have never had the luxury of voting for perfection. It just does. That's just not how we've had to engage with this American experiment, right? I sometimes feel like younger people who their frame of reference in the beginning of their voting lives being Barack Obama, I think it actually did them a disservice to a certain extent, because they have a false sense of what this is supposed to be about, right? Like I think about all the people who just sort of stepped out of the conversation because of their feelings about Palestine, and they didn't feel like, the Democratic Party was going as hard for Palestine as they felt like that they should, and that they said crazy stuff on the internet about the Democratic candidate, right? Or they said, oh, well, I'm going to hold my nose and all these things. And what they did was a disservice to the Palestinians and to themselves, because I can tell you right now that what's happening in this country and across the world would be far better off had the lukewarm on Palestine candidate that they were calling won that race instead of, the sort of Netanyahu apologist who resides in the White House today.
That's right.
We have always had to think about progress over perfection. We've always had to think about the long game. And I think that if this moment is set to get us back to a place to where we're back to being able to en masse think that way, us and younger people and people who are marginalized, the media, mainstream media is obsessed with the average American. Obsessed. But there are 142 million of us who are not in that pigeonhole of the average American. And somebody has to be having a conversation about what works for us. You can't look at the economic outlook for the average American and leave me and Karen Hunter out of that conversation, right? You can't look at whether that's unemployment or whether that is rights. We are not in that number. And so if you're not listening to people you trust, journalists you trust, or information sources that you trust that are pulling away from, they're digging one step further down from that obsession with the average American. If you ain't the average American, you got to start to think about, okay, well, what about me? Who's talking to me, right? Who do I trust that speaks to me?
We've had to accept whatever dregs on the table and vote for the best interest, knowing that, okay, and I know a lot of people like the same bird, two wings, and sometimes it is that, right? But not voting got us here. Voting in protest got us here. And we knew what here was going to look like even if you didn't. So, you know, your mama and grandmama have more wisdom. We're going to have to trust somebody at this point. Yeah. And those of us who were out here not shilling for the Democrats, shilling for you, shilling for me, shilling for our rights and resources, we knew what this could be if left to because of the Supreme Court. That was my biggest thing in 2016 because once that lever fell into the hands of somebody like Trump, there's no coming. We're going to be here for the next 50 years, right? And that's such a hard thing to come back from. But we're going to get there. And I said this before, tyranny has a very short shelf life.
We're ready. We're prepared. Do not give in to fear. We are fearless. This is not the time to be afraid. This is a time to stand up and fight back and to resist any temptation for them to divide us. We're in this together. The rule of law is on our side. We will not give in, not give up. We will not capitulate. We will not bow. We will not bend. We will